Hello my friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Sonja, and in today's video I will be sharing with you some Easter DIYs. They're made from Dollar Tree supplies and they take about 5 minutes to make. We are starting off the first one with this trick-or-treat sign that I had on hand. You can really use any type of a sign that you might have, or if you have a piece of wood, this will make it even a shorter craft. So I took some time to sand off some of these sparkly things here, just so they don't show through. They still end up showing a little bit, so you might have to do a couple coats or see if you can heat this up and peel it right off. Because of the technique that I was using, I wasn't too concerned about it. So once I had all the sparkles off, I painted mine with an old ochre paint from Annie Sloan. It's a chalk paint. It is a creamy colored chalk paint. This does not mean that you have to do this in the same color as I did. This is just what I did and I'm sharing with you. So I gave it a one coat, and you could still see that when it was dry, it was still showing up a little bit, but no worries, I have a solution for that as well. Then I took this Happy Easter sign from Dollar Tree. I actually had this on hand. I think I got it either last year or the year before. And then I got some hot glue. Once I had removed the little rope, I got some hot glue and some deer moss, and I just separated my deer moss so it's easier for me to work with. And I worked in little sections using a little makeup applicator spatula to press down the deer moss, and also I trimmed it off a little bit. This way I made sure I did not burn any of my fingers, and the reason why I'm working in little sections is so that way I can really focus on that section without worrying that the glue is going to completely dry on me before I move on to it. I also want to mention that today's video is part of a collaboration. A whole bunch of us ladies got together and we are sharing Easter around the world. That's what the collab is called, and it is hosted by Siege DIY. I will have her channel as well as the playlist linked down below, so make sure you head on over and check out what everybody is creating for this Easter around the world collab. So once I had my deer moss on, I went ahead and painted the letters. I am using a very soft light pink to paint the happy, and then I'm going to go ahead with the green on the bottom. The pink paint is an acrylic paint by Folk Art. It's in a seashell pink, and the green paint is by American Decor, and it's called New Life, and it is the chalky finish paint. I really love the softness of these colors, and they're not overly bright because these type of colors go better with my decor rather than the bright pinks and bright greens. But you can really paint this any way you want. You could even stain it. I was contemplating about staining it if I was leaving my backboard painted, but I will be staining my backboard, so staining the letters wouldn't show up as well. So this is why I ended up painting my letters. But the possibilities are endless with the color combinations that you can do here. So once my board was dry, I took my gel paint. I think this gel paint is in aged oak, and I just applied it with a brush, going back and forth as much as I could, kind of trying to replicate a wood grain. So once I had this on, I just kept going over it and over it and over it. You could also take a rag and wipe some of it off if that's what you want. This is what I did, but you can also just leave it and let it dry. As you can see, some of that stuff is still showing up, so I would suggest, if you don't want any of it to show up, to simply peel it off or turn it around and use the other side. Because I was gluing this onto it, it was covering all of that stuff up, so I wasn't too concerned about it. But if you just want to leave it painted, I would definitely apply a couple coats on it, and that should cover it as well. So once I had this exactly where I wanted it, I put some glue on it and glued it on. I do really love the way this turned out, and the backboards does look like it's wood with all the wood grain showing through. For my next DIY, keeping with the wood theme, I had these giant eggs that I had picked up at Dollar Tree. Again, I think it was last year, and I'm using that aged oak stain and just staining them with a brush and then wiping the stain off. I applied 2 coats to achieve the darkness that I wanted to. So depending on how dark you want them, that's how many coats you apply. I did do a couple different techniques. Once I painted on and then wiped off, and then the other one I had painted it or stained it, and then I had dabbed the egg with a cloth instead of wiping it all off. And I would recommend, if you don't want your hands to get completely stained, to keep the egg on the rag the whole time, and that way you won't get the fingerprints on the egg either as well. This prevents that too. I've been wanting to add some giant wood eggs to my decor just because it goes well with my current style of my home, but I wasn't able to find any at the store, so I came up with an idea to try and stain it. I wasn't sure how the plastic would take to it, but it turned out pretty good, and I was quite pleased with the end result. Now I just have to figure out how I'm going to style my home with these. And if you want to see how I do that, make sure you head on over to my home channel, where I'm doing tons of Easter decorating right now. And you can really see how I'm using a lot of my DIYs in my decor. For the next one, this one was kind of one craft, but ended up with 2 projects come out of it. So I'm using these square pieces of wood from Dollar Tree. They come in a set of 3, I think. And then also the little wooden egg and the little wooden bunny that also came from Dollar Tree. I was pretty lucky this year. I only bought 1 or 2 things for my Easter DIYs. I had all the other ones on hand, and it was time that I started using up everything that I have on hand so I can make room for new projects. So I took the egg and the bunny, and I just used some tape, normal tape, and taped them to the squares. So each square. And then I took the same stain that I've been using and stain the outside of the bunny and the egg, so the board, whatever was left over once I cover them with the egg and the bunny. I hope that makes some sense, but you will see it shortly. And I just moved in the direction of the wood grain, as you saw, and once I was done staining the pieces of wood, I removed the egg and the bunny, and as you can see, here is my first project. It turned out pretty nice. I really like that. I think these would be great for a small tray or a tier tray decor. And then here are the ones that were taped on. I think these turned out really nice as well. Again, great for small decor pieces. The next one was probably the easiest out of all the DIYs that I've created. I've had this sign from last year again, and I was going to just use it in my decor because I really think it's such a pretty sign. But then I thought, I'm gonna make it even prettier, make it a little bit three-dimensional. So I had these carrots again from Dollar Tree, and I ended up just trimming off the green tissue that was there for as leaves and gluing these over top of the other carrots that were already drawn on the picture. This gave the sign just a three-dimensional effect and really took me under a minute to DIY. Now, the one thing that I didn't realize as much until I was editing this video is how off center the white part of the picture is to the board. So if that's something that bothers you, I would recommend that you pop it off and glue it more towards the center. I've seen people even just darken or even add some aged wax to it to make it look even more antique. But I love the way this turned out. I think it's gonna look great in my kitchen or wherever I choose to use it. The last DIY that I'm going to be doing is this little wreath that came, or a sign that came from Dollar Tree. This is a new item for this year that they have. We did not have these last year, and I just love the way it looks. I love with the little beaded accent around it. I think it's great. So I'm going to use the same stain, so the theme is kind of same throughout. Again, you don't have to use the stain, same stain. You don't even have to use the stain at all. You can just paint it. I'm just giving you an idea, and how you guys execute it, that is totally up to you. All of our styles are very different, so if you like it, do it the same. If not, use different colors. So I am staining again, moving in the same direction of the grain, because you could see the grain a little bit, and I'm going to stain the whole piece. I was contemplating about painting the little beads, but I thought it was going to be way too hard without getting the background all painted as well. So I just stained it, wiped it off, and then the bunny I painted in that soft pink, the seashell. It's called the seashell pink, but very, very lightly. So to give it almost an antique look, that's what I was going for. So didn't quite dry brush it on, but I did brush very little paint on it. And then once I was done painting it, I did take that rag and wipe it down a little bit as well, just to blend the color in. And I just love how this turned out. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out the playlist link down below, and I will see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching.